everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am thrilled to be back and doing what I love to do, which is talk about comic book content. Now, for those of you that are thinking where the hell I have been for the past 5, 6, 7 months, let's just say that a lot of personal things have been going on in my life, and I will explain that maybe in another video, in another time, in another place, and that's pretty much all I could say about that right there. Since the year of 2024 is now ending and I am now at a better place, out of New York and into a new location, I felt like it's better for me to talk about the movies, rank my superhero movies, and then transition into a new year where I can become a little bit more consistent in talking about comic book content. And what better way for my triumphant return is for me to rank them from best to worst. So let's not beat around the bush anymore and let's get right down to it with the best comic book movie of 2024.
I'm touching myself tonight.
There was really no surprise that Deadpool and Wolverine was the main factor that was going to kick off this entire thing. Full of heart, full of passion, full of nostalgia, just everything you need to make a great movie. And the soundtrack, it cannot be any better for what it delivered. I would rewatch the scene of both Deadpool and Wolverine to go against the Deadpool core. Madonna's Like a Prayer is going on, and then you just see the old boy panning shots while they're just ripping shit apart. Flims, blood going everywhere. It was spectacular and it was awesome. And then the cherry on top is Madonna's Like a Prayer going on as the choir version is just, chef's kiss nonetheless. Which is pretty interesting because I was always a strong advocate that if characters have a perfect ending, like Hugh Jackman did with Logan, that they should not be coming back as the character. Whenever a character comes back after having a perfect ending, it just feels a little forced, it feels sloppy, or for me, it just feels a little cheesy. But thanks to the MCU's variants, we got exactly what we got, and they found a way around it, and I could not be more grateful. I could just see it right then and there where Hugh Jackman is just sitting there in the theater. He's saying his goodbyes. He's saying farewell to every single one of you. Thank you for the cheese. I'm out. Logan is my last movie. And then he watches Deadpool and he goes, son of a bitch. Oh, I can just see the look on his face. It's like I said, thanks to the MCU variants, we got what we got, and Hugh Jackman plus Ryan Reynolds with great chemistry and great action and just the nostalgia. The nostalgia is what really, really hits you in the feels, and I loved every minute of it. Will there be a Deadpool 4? That's still in the can. I know Ryan Reynolds actually dismissed the idea, and I wouldn't really go off the bat or think to myself, you know what? If Marvel wanted to, they could just pay him all of the money he wants because he's earned it and he deserves it. But playing this character for so many years, plus he joked that Blake Lively would just divorce him, I'm pretty sure he would stay as the role of a supporting character. Maybe not too much of a side character, but someone that can support the main character. And you know what? That's good enough too. Have him do cameos like Stan Lee, because that worked tremendously, and it's not going to take away too much from the actual story. It would just give us a fun Easter egg, and I'm all for it. The movie had passion, nostalgia, drama, action, hard R, blood, guts, and everything else. Okay, maybe not hard R, but you get the point. Now all we need is for these two characters to have a buddy-buddy movie with Spider-Man. Can you believe that trio? Ooh, I can't wait for that.
Up in the sky, look! It's a thing! It's a plane! It's Superman!
The second best movie is not really a superhero movie, but to me it is, and to a lot of people it definitely is as well, because of the trials and tribulations that this man has definitely went through. Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. The life and legacy of Christopher Reeve being told through this documentary knows no bounds whatsoever. For those of you that don't know, Christopher Reeve essentially had a near-fatal horse riding accident in 1995 that left him paralyzed from the neck down. And since then, he became a strong activist for spinal cord injury treatments and disability rights nonetheless. Now, I really don't want to spoil this documentary for you, but it is riveting and powerful. A documentary that truly embraces the mindset of never giving up and having the ultimate perseverance. It's inspiring. It really is. It's on Max now. Go watch it. And if you do watch it, hopefully you'll be rejuvenated as I was, and many of you will be too.
I am Kraven the Hunter. What I hunt, I consume. What I consume, I become.
At the number 3 spot, supposedly the last movie of the Sony Cinematic Universe, Kraven the Hunter. I'm not gonna lie, it's not as bad as Rotten Tomatoes would say. It's not as bad as everybody else says. It's just the fact that it's just there. It's just blah. It's just another movie. That's it. That's all it is. I would, in a way, compare this movie and put it along the lines of the early 2000s movie with Daredevil and Elektra and The Punisher and a few of those movies that just has mindless action. Predictable plot points, a pointless villain or villains, no Spider-Man, of course, no indication that there's going to be any crossover with any of the characters that came before him. Is just another movie that falls to the wayside like everything else. Funny enough, it was after this movie's failure that the Sony Pictures CEO, Tony Vinciquerra, nailed it, where he actually blamed critics of the failure for Kraven and Madame Web. Blame the critics, blame the fans, blame the people, blame us, blame we, the people. Blame everyone else for your lack of storytelling and your lack of bad writing when it comes to your movies. Go on, just keep on doing it. What else is there to do? I swear to God, it's amazing to me that corporate CEOs do not understand the value of what makes these movies actually good and worth watching. It's a formula! A very simple formula! Once you lose the trust of your audience, once you lose the trust of your customers in turning a bad movie after bad movie after bad movie, of course they're going to turn their back on you. And now it's at the point where if you don't deliver something that's as good or decent like anything else that we're actually used to, we're not going to give a shit. But hey, the best way for these corporate guys to actually understand is that the fact that we're going to have to keep on hitting them in their feels, their wallets. You want a great portrayal of Kraven the Hunter? Play Spider-Man 2, the video game for the PS5. You're welcome.
We are
Venom!
We are
Venom!
No.
Oh!
Yeah, we
are Venom.
Remember in high school in your senior year, you had something known as senioritis, where you're just so close to finishing your year and you don't have to try as hard as you've done the previous years before because you're right there at the finish line? That's what Venom: The Last Dance felt like to me. Introducing the big bad, the King in Black himself, where you don't utilize him in any way, shape, or form, just a freaking waste. And having Venom be on the run for the majority of the movie, it just felt like they weren't even trying anymore. And of course, the last act happens and you had all these other symbiotes, and you don't care about any of them. For a trilogy that started so high, where Venom made over $800 million at the global box office, and then just slowly declined into being what it is now, it's just a freaking disappointment. That's all it is. It's a disappointment. And all we wanted was to have the crossover between him and Spider-Man, whether it was Tom Holland or Andrew Garfield. Hell, give us Tobey Maguire. I don't give a damn. We wanted these crossovers. We wanted these characters to interact with each other. How is it possible that you had a winning thing, a winning concept in your hands, and you squander it? You don't give the people what they want. Or maybe that was their plan. After all, they were trying so hard to make their Sinister Six. God knows how many times that failed. I love Venom. I love the character of Venom. But this movie just didn't do it for me.
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
Now, this one being number 5 is a controversy because it is the worst in everybody else's list and maybe the worst on your list, but to me, it falls near at the bottom for the simple fact that it just brought me a lot of joy. Madam Web. For how bad the script really was, the movie, in my opinion, is a cult classic, or at least it's beginning to be a cult classic for a lot of people. It would explain why the majority of the views would actually increase a lot once it went on Netflix as opposed to watching it in theaters when it first came out. The fact of the matter is, despite the bad script, despite the terrible ADR going on, and the fact that it took itself way over the top a little too seriously, I was fascinated more with the drama of what was going on behind the scenes. Dakota Johnson firing her agency, Sydney Sweeney using this movie to kickstart more of her career, essentially using this as a meme at this point. Any question you ask Dakota Johnson about ties in with this movie, with any of the other Spider-Man, or even the MCU, which has no connection whatsoever, she just gave these awkward answers that are so lovable. You can't just help but smile at it in a way. Don't get me wrong, it was a recipe for disaster, but in a way I kind of enjoy about it a little bit more. I know I'm going insane, but it's my insanity. I can re-watch this movie and still have a great time. Dare I say, I compare this to Tommy Wiseau's The Room. And that says something. One of the biggest hypes of the year turned out to be one of the most disappointment movies of the year. And the more I think about it, the more it just makes me sink so low to think to myself, why did you even do this? Joker Folie à Deux. When you have your first movie that was so controversial that it made over $1 billion at the global box office, of course the studio wants to get another one. They want to put out another one. They need to put out another one because they want the moolah. Like Shark Tank says, it's all about the money. I have been a very strong advocate of studios leaving directors alone. When it comes to creatives, when it comes to directors, when it comes to filmmakers, when it comes to anyone that creates their own art and want to show it to us, the people, the world, in however the way they want, that the studio should just leave them be. We've seen this every single time with studio interference comes into play, and it just makes the movie that much worse. The old saying of too many cooks in the kitchen really does play into factor here. Thanks to this movie, now we need studio interference in order for that to happen, so that way they could have a fucking clue about what's going on with their product at hand. Okay, maybe not studio interference, but what about a balance? What about some kind of supervision? Just something for them to understand and look at it and go, okay, you're doing good, all right, we will leave you be. I can imagine now that Warner Brothers or Warner Max is going to have a very, very hard time trusting a lot of directors that kind of wants to do their own thing. Then again, that shouldn't be a problem with James Gunn at the moment. Regardless of the rumors or the affirmations of what went on behind the scenes, this movie was just bad. The musical sequences were a distraction. The character regression of Arthur Fleck was damn near frustrating. That pissed me off more than anything. All for a director to just do his own thing, take your money and just run with it. One of the biggest fuck yous that I've ever seen to the audience just didn't need to happen. One day, I do want to have a sit down with these creatives and just ask them, did you honestly think that was a good idea? One day. And here it is, number 7 spot, the bottom of the barrel, the one that is the worst piece of crap over piece of crap that I just want to look at it and set it on fire and then pretend it never happens again. The movie where I had no hope and did not think that this movie was going to go well in any way, shape, or form, The Crow 2024. And the more that I think about it, the more it just pisses me off where I have my time utterly fucking wasted. 40 plus minutes of the first act of a love story that seems so forced and so unnatural, and it's just shoved right in your freaking face. Just no. A guy goes on a rampage after his girlfriend gets killed, only to find out at the end that it most likely never happened. Just no. It does kind of make you think that the comics writer and creator James O'Barr, what he would say about this monstrosity. Just do yourself a favor, watch The First Crow, watch The Crow City of Angels. Yeah, that movie was better than this. And do what Mr. Wonderful / Kevin O'Leary would always say. Take it behind the barn and shoot it. Brandon Lee, keep resting in eternal power. That's all I gotta say about that. Alright guys, that is my personal ranking of the 2024 superhero movies. I know there was a bunch of more content that was going on this year. X-Men 97, The Penguin, Marvel's What If Season 3 that just finished. But as I said in the start of this video, I was going through a lot in my personal life, but now I finally have the chance to talk about whatever it is that I want to talk about to you, to the fans, to the people. I'm passionate about comic book content. I want to talk more about comic book content. Any piece of news that comes up, I definitely want to talk about it and bring my own thoughts into it. And hopefully, maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. But that's why we love to have these discussions. Now let me ask you, what is your ranking system? Do you agree with the list? Do you disagree? Where would you put any one of these movies? I want to know. Let me know in the comments below. And thank you once again for coming back to the channel and listening to me ramble on and on about comic book content. I will be producing more content, especially for the future shows. Maybe something that I'm highly anticipating, maybe something that may be in the works, or something that I believe that should change in the near future. Whatever it is, whatever it may be, I will let you know. Happy New Year to every single one of you. Sayonara to 2024, and let's get it with 2025. Be you, be super.